We're continuing our series, Making Room for Life. And really this jar explains a lot about how our lives too often work. Our lives are like this jar. And in this jar, in our life, there are big rocks and there's also small rocks. Now the big rocks up here, the big rocks are the things that matter the most in our life, like friends and family, like our health, like trying to make a difference with our life. The big rocks are things like our relationship with God. And then you have all the small rocks. And the small rocks, that's stuff you got to do. Got to pay the bills. I got to get grocery shopping done. I got to fix the toilet. I got to go rake the leaves. I got to answer all this email. I got to get the kids to this place or that place. All the stuff you have to do, the little rocks. But the trouble is, if the small rocks are always going to the jar first, you know what? Then there's not enough room for all the big rocks. And some of these really big rocks, the important things, get left out of the jar. And if the big rock of your marriage, if the big rock of taking care of yourself physically, or the big rock of what goes on between you and God gets left out of the jar, that's not good. And then we mistakenly think the big rocks get left out because there's no room, because we're so busy. And then we decide, well, what I really need is I need a bigger jar. I need more time. But nobody gets more than 7 days a week. Nobody gets more than 24 hours a day. So the question is, what do we do? Well, over the last few weeks, we've been discovering that if we'll put these big rocks in first, and then the little rocks, there's room for everything. But more importantly, we discover there's room for life. And that's exactly what Jesus was describing when he said these words to us. He said, I have come that you may have life, and I want you to have it to the full. So today, what I want us to do is I want us to talk about another big rock in our life. And I think the best place to start is to find out how many savers we have, and then how many spenders we have. Because I think the world can be divided up into two parts, savers and spenders. Now, if you're a saver, you probably spend as little as possible so you can save as much as possible. You love finding a good investment. Saving, it just gives you a peace. It gives you a confidence about what often seems like an uncertain future. If you're a spender, you rather go buy things. You want to go shopping. You want to enjoy life. And you understand, hey, money was made to be spent. If you've ever seen Dave Ramsey, he's got a TV show, and he also is the founder of Financial Peace University. He doesn't call them savers and spenders. You know what he calls them? Nerds and idiots. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't want to be called a nerd or idiot, so we're going to go with savers and spenders. And savers, we love to save money. And if we have to spend money, we love Kohl's. You know why we love Kohl's? Because it's always the lowest prices of the season. Have you ever been there? It's no matter what, no matter when you go, it's always lowest prices of the season. For groceries, we love Aldi's. Who cares what it tastes like? Because what we love is to add a little extra savings, sock away a little more, save a little more for a rainy day. And it kind of just feels good thinking about it. Saving has this way of just making us feel kind of secure, right? Spenders, we live by the motto of why put off for tomorrow the fun you could have today by spending more money. Spenders, we love to buy stuff. And you know how it works. Feel a little low? Buy something. Feeling good because you had a great day? Hey, let's go buy something. Kind of bored, don't know what to do? Let's buy something. Spending money has this way of just kind of bringing us pleasure. And if you're more of a saver, chances are right now you're probably thinking of someone who you wish would lose all their credit cards and could forget their eBay account password. And if you're a spender, probably somebody's coming to mind that you're thinking of, you know what, they worry way, way, way too much about money. And the one consistent universal truth for both savers and spenders is that ultimately you will always marry the opposite. But here's my new aha. All right, see what you think about this. Savers and spenders are really basically the same. Whether you're as frugal as Dave Ramsey or you spend money like the Kardashians on Rodeo Drive, either way, spenders and savers are motivated by the same desire. And the same desire is this: having more. See, if you're a saver, you want to have more in the bank and have more in your portfolio so you can have more later in life. If you're a spender, you want to have more too, but the more you want to have is fun. And you want to have it now, not later. Right? Spend now, worry later. And in doing so, you feel like you're having more of a life because that's what money's for, is to be spent to have fun, correct? See, if I save more to have more security later, or if I spend more to have more fun now, either way, do you see what it's about? Either way, it's simply about getting more. But what if there's another kind of person? What if there's another kind of way? It's not just about saving or about spending. And what if that way is a way for you to make room for more life? I want to read you a story, and it's a story actually I've really come to love, but more importantly, it's a story that Jesus describes, and when he describes, he says, this is the kind of story that's so compelling, that's so important. This is the kind of story that's going to be told for centuries and centuries and centuries to come. Matthew actually writes about it in his gospel, and it's in Matthew 26, starting in verse 6, and here's what he says. While Jesus was in Bethany, in the home of Simon the leper, a woman came to him with an alabaster jar of very expensive perfume, which she poured on his head while he was reclined at the table. Now when the disciples saw this, they were indignant. Why this waste, they asked. This perfume could have been sold at a high price and the money given to the poor. Aware of this, Jesus said to them, why are you bothering this woman? She has done a beautiful thing to me. The poor you will always have with you, but you will not always have me. And when she poured this perfume on my body, she did it to prepare me for burial. And truly I tell you, wherever the gospel is preached throughout the world, what she has done will also be told in memory of her. What was that woman? Was she a saver or a spender? What do you think? I'd say neither. She created a brand new category, a completely different category. And to get what I mean, here's some important backstory. For starters, we hear about her breaking open some perfume, and we kind of think, well, maybe that's just a nice bottle of Chanel or whatever happens to be pricey these days. Maybe it cost her $100 or so. But that's not the deal here. Biblical scholars tell us that back in the day, perfume was something that people bought almost like a form of investment, sort of the way we buy stocks or bonds. And this perfume cost the equivalent of at least a whole year's wages. And so pouring out a bottle of perfume like she did would be like giving away your whole retirement or maybe all of your savings. Now what do you think about what she did? Hey, savers, what are you thinking? Hey, you spenders, what are you thinking? Probably either way, if you're a saver or a spender, you're probably just a little horrified. And so it's not surprising that the disciples reacted the way they did. Because see, if you're a spender, you might be thinking, well, sure, break open the bottle, enjoy it while you can, but don't pour it all out on Jesus. I mean, put a little on him. I mean, make him smell good, which, by the way, was a custom they did back in those days for the guest of honor at a dinner party. It was kind of like an act of honor and welcoming someone at the highest level. Just put a little on him, but not all of him. I mean, use the rest to have some fun. Buy something for yourself. Get something you always wanted. So then, spenders, right? Or if you're a saver, you might be thinking, this woman's nuts. I mean, what's going to happen when she gets older? How's she going to survive now she's broke and then she's blown all of her savings? I mean, yeah, okay, dab a little on him if you want to, but don't be an idiot, like Ramsey says. But for the woman in the story, it was not about, spending more or saving more. It was about something entirely else. It was about making room for generosity. This one was different. Her big rock wasn't saving. Her big rock wasn't spending. It was generosity. And that's radical. I mean, financially speaking, let's bring it in today. Think about the bigger rocks financially speaking for yourself. Usually the bigger rocks we put in first, right, are the bigger rocks of my mortgage, my car payment, maybe my grocery bill. Those are the bigger rocks, those fixed expenses. When it comes to generosity, we often view the small rocks we try to fit later on are kind of like generosity. In my own journey, I used to kind of hate the experience that you're now having now of talking to people about money. And I think part of the reason I hated it was I kind of saw people in these two categories, savers and spenders. And by talking about and bringing up the theme of money, I was like ruining the future of savers or raining on the parade of spenders. And when we'd have a weekend message, about money and we're planning it out ahead of time, I'd kind of in the back of my head go, I wonder, how can I get Tim or Sean or John, how can I get them on the schedule and have them speak? Because I don't really want to talk about that. And some of you are thinking, wow, those were the good old days. But for me, that really has all changed. And I think the reason it changed is because this third category that's not about, saving or spending, but about generosity. And generosity is a way to a more fulfilling life. Or as Jesus said, to life and life to its full. Now, as you know, we're on a journey as a church called All In. And as we led up to this all-in season last year, I find myself having lots of conversation with people about this theme of generosity and challenging them to move out of these two, what we thought was this kind of two-choice paradigm into this third option. And And I've got to the place where I love those conversations because I feel like I'm giving people an opportunity to do something with their money that's far more meaningful than just kind of saving, which sounds boring, or spending, which often is just frivolous. And as people moved towards generosity, I saw their hearts changed. They began to put God first. And they helped make this world a better place. And they helped hundreds and thousands of people find their way back to God. And so I saw people changed to experience more of life. But I also found myself being changed and challenged. I mean, as I challenged people to be all in, I found God challenging me personally and my family to be all in. And I remember when Sue and I got to that point where we had a commitment card and we had to fill it out for our all-in commitment, we came to the place where we made the largest financial commitment we've ever made to anything, ever. And since my own family, my wife and kids attend the Yellow Box location, we made it to that specific campus. And I wish I had a whole other talk, because in a whole other talk I could explain to you in ways that were totally unexpected. I mean, God has since then blessed us. And it's just, I mean, it's amazing. And so I look back on that experience, and I kind of, in recent times, I'm kind of moving into it, feeling pretty good about that. You know, picked generosity, and God blessed us. And just feeling really good about that. Well, about a week ago, I was asked to go to our Lamont campus to their advanced commitment all-in dinner for their all-in initiative, and to say a few words. And like the Yellow Box, and like many of our locations, they're expanding their facility, expanding their space to help more people find their way back to God. And we got there and had a great time, had dinner, I said a few things, and then came the commitment challenge. And Dave Roche, who's the campus pastor, got up and kind of made the challenge. And I looked around the room, and I saw all these folks from Lamont, this basically new location of only 3 years, making pledges for the first time to expand facility, help more people find their way back to God. And I was really proud of them, enjoying the moment. And then I felt something kind of nudging me, kind of inside, almost like a voice saying, make a commitment. Like it was God telling me that, make a commitment, Dave. And in my mind, I was like, almost having a conversation. I was like, I already made a pledge. I'm already all in. I'm already good. I've already checked that off. Thank you very much. But it was like, then God said, haven't I always taken care of you, Dave? Haven't I always blessed you? And this is a great opportunity for you to be generous, for you to experience life and life to the full. And I remember, so I picked up the commitment card, and I kind of looked at Sue and gestured like this, and she kind of rolled her eyes and nodded her head yes. And so I found myself filling out a second commitment card to be all in. Know why? Here's why. I want generosity to be one of the big rocks in my life. And at this point, it wasn't even something I did as a sacrifice. It was almost like selfishly. I did it because I didn't want to miss out on the difference that campus is going to make, the difference they're going to help so many people find their way back to God, the difference they're going to make in families and what they're going to do in other places around the world. And I didn't want to miss out on life and life to the full. Through our all-in journey, I've watched so many people and so many families, I think, come to the place where they realize it's not just a choice between saving or spending. They're saying, I'm not just going to be about saving. I'm not just going to be about spending. My life is going to be about generosity. And as I think about all those stories, there's one that really stands out to me.
What's going on, guys? My name is Juan Magana. I've been coming to the Yellow Box here for probably a little over a year and a half, almost 2 years now. I first came upon the church. I had to do community service for speeding, of all things. And I was looking for an outlet of where I could get it done, and my friend told me about the Yellow Box, and I had never heard of the place before, so I called up Mike, who heads community service and everything. And he said, yeah, man, actually come back tomorrow if you're available. And I was like, okay, cool. I came to the Yellow Box, and it was not at all what I was expecting, because I actually grew up Catholic, and knowing the whole steeple kind of church thing, and seeing this literally Yellow Box, I was like, am I at the right place? And it was cool. I actually really liked it. It was just a different feeling, man. It was literally such a warm place for how big of a facility it is. So I started doing community service here, and that took me all of about 8 months to finish. And afterwards, I just kept coming, because I actually really did like the people there. I met, Sean, the pastor, and all the people that do the welcome committees and stuff like that, because I was helping everybody clean up afterwards, just being here and cleaning up the entire facility after hours, and just got to know the church really well, and I really started to just like the feel of it. And I got my sisters and my mom to start coming over, and they really liked it too. And I remember early on, it was during the whole All-In series, and I really liked it. It was something that I actually, on a personal level, I was trying to be more committed to my faith and read the Bible more, and just be more open with like my everyday being closer to God. And there was like an advanced commitment night, and anybody who wanted to like be more committed to their faith and be like, you know, a headstrong like Jesus person, like come to this tent out in the parking lot, and we're gonna like do whatever. We're gonna sing songs, and we're gonna be able to go over like how we can be more committed. And I was like, well, I said I wanted to do this before All In came in, so God just literally just laid it out in front of me. So I was like, I should probably go that night. All right, I'll do it. And I came, and it was actually really like close knit. It was really like, it was a warm feeling, and it was really cool. I really liked it. And it was like in the middle of winter, so it was cold outside, but it felt really cool. I loved it. When All In started, I was already tithing 10%, and at that point, I literally never thought that I could give that much. And it was a pretty big stretch to go beyond like 5 or 8%, because that, with my budget then, I thought, it was pretty strict, and feeling like I just wanted to give more, and I wanted to feel like I was a bigger part of this whole movement that the Yellow Box is doing. I upped it up to like 15%, and it was really cool. I loved actually being able to give more than I ever thought I could before, and it's an amazing feeling. I've always liked the whole idea of planting other churches. I've always actually wanted to be able to fully fund a church of my own, like not like Juan's church or anything, but like a church for other people to just gather and just come to know Christ. The Yellow Box really, it lines up with that, because they plant other churches. They help people find their way back to God, and it's awesome. I love it. In a small way, in my own way, I'm helping this church do that, and they got a great mission for it. I love it. All In came at the right time. It's crazy how, of all things, like community service brought me to a new church, and I ended up loving it. From going to having to be here X amount of days to wanting to come every weekend and bringing my family on Sundays, and just seeing what God has to speak into me for that week, and how I can apply it into my life. And like my mom will tell you, I'm all in, like everyone knows.
And for Juan, generosity was a big rock in his life, and it started him on his path back to God. Juan understood, you know what? I don't have to spend more to have more. I don't have to save more to have more. It's actually through giving more that one experiences more in life. I want to take you back to that story in Matthew that we talked about earlier. So as this woman lavishly pours every drop of perfume on Jesus, covering him from head to toe, here's what Jesus says. He says, she has done a beautiful thing for me. In a very real way, she is giving everything she has to Jesus, not knowing that very soon he's going to give everything he has for her. And so she breaks the jar. It's a statement from her heart. It's an outpouring not only of worldly wealth, but of a heart overflowing with love. And if you fast forward a week later or so, Jesus does the same thing for her. You see, some of us believe that we have to spend more to have more. Other of us believe that we have to save more to have more. But this woman's story holds the real truth in life. Those that choose to give more, trusting God, will ultimately not only have more, but we will have the most. Now, throughout this series, one of the things we've done, and I've kind of enjoyed this, we've been challenging you with dares, kind of at the end, about how you can make room for life, make room for the big rocks in your life. And today, I don't want to just dare you, but I'm actually going to triple dog dare you to make room for generosity, okay? So here are 3 generosity dares. You can take 1, 2, or maybe all 3 of them. Ready? Here's dare number 1. Dare number 1, the first dare. I dare you ready, to help provide food items for a local food pantry for this Thanksgiving. Right? This time of year, there's a huge need for generosity toward food pantries. If we would come together as a church community, we could make a big, big, big difference. Now, if you go to this website, foodpantries.org, you'll be able to identify the state and the town that you're in, and they will point you to a food pantry near you. And I would dare you right now, go buy the food items that you need for that pantry and take it to them. All right? I dare you. That's the first one. I dare you to help those in need this Thanksgiving. Dare number 1. Here's dare number 2. Dare number 2, second dare, I double dare you, okay, to generously support one of our Christmas gift marts. Every year, our gift marts are hosted to benefit school communities and under-resourced neighborhoods. And for almost a decade, these gift marts have provided the gift of dignity by we've now collected more than 67,000 toys. Wow. Selling them at a cost of $2 per toy in those communities, in communities where they might not be able to purchase presents during the holiday season. And all the money that comes from those toys is then given back to the schools, which is tens of thousands of dollars. They use it to buy library books, computers, musical instruments, other things that they need. Now, there's lots of ways through the gift mart that you can be generous. You can buy toys. You can actually sponsor your own toy drive at a work or some other place, or you can actually give money. But if you go to our website, communitychristian.org/giftmart, it will tell you everything you need. So through your generosity, you can bring life to some kids' Christmas, and in so doing, experience what Jesus said is life and life to the full. All right? Here's dare number 3. You ready? Dare number 3, and of course the third dare, the triple dog dare, should be the most difficult of all. So here we are. Triple dog dare you to give 10% of your income away through the end of the year. If you read the scriptures, it always challenges us with a tithe. Give that first tithe away. And for some of you, maybe this is the first time you've done it. So take the next 6 weeks and give 10%. Say, okay, you know what? I'm going to try it. I'm going to trust God with this. I'm going to give 10% away. Now, for some of you, maybe you've done this for a long time. So why not say, oh, I'll up it a percentage point or two. Maybe I'll go from 10 to 12, or from 10 to 12, or from 12 to 15. But make sure it's a large rock, a big enough rock in your budget. You can't just kind of not even notice. But you have to be intentional about putting that big rock in first, that it does impact your budget. Make a choice to give, okay, that big rock, whatever it is, and let everything else kind of fall in around it. Try it. I dare you. For the next 6 weeks, give it and see if God doesn't bless you. And my experience, He always does. Now, you might be a saver, you might be a spender. And that might get you more money later on in life, or it might even get you more fun right now. But I'm telling you, neither of those ways will bring you more of life and life to the full. That only comes through generosity. Make generosity one of the big rocks in your life.